Good morning to you. This is Talk Breakfast with me, Julia Hartley-Brewer. Autumn statement, of course, dominating the news, but we don't know yet exactly what's in, and I imagine it's not going to be exactly as many people have built, but plenty of other stories around as well. And as always, another day with a Y in it. There's another story about, frankly, trans activist lunacy once again. In fact, two this time round. One, including sex education for 3-year-olds, and the other, women's health clinics being renamed because you don't want to upset people who aren't women. I'll talk about both these stories right now with Lisa Keogh. She's a law graduate from Abertay University in Dundee. She came to all of our attention nationally after she faced disciplinary action for saying in a lecture and a debate that on transgender issues that women were born, well, as women with, female bits and the like. Apparently, that was quite controversial, but she won her disciplinary action and has been a campaigner on, well, frankly, sanity ever since. Good morning to you once again, Lisa.
Morning, how are you?
Oh, very well indeed. Always good to speak to you. Let's talk about these two stories. I mean, there's never a day when I couldn't do an item like this. Let's talk about this case that's come before a High Court judge in Wales. The Wales sex education curriculum for 3-year-olds, parents have claimed, according to a High Court judge, that is extreme and unbalanced. The Parents Group launched a legal challenge earlier this week to the Welsh Government's introduction of mandatory relationship and sex education classes for not just primary school pupils, but, infant classes. Of course, in England, parents are allowed to withdraw their children from sex education classes in primary school, but the Welsh Government are basically saying that everyone needs to attend. But the key thing on this is it's age-appropriate education on relationship and sex issues. You can introduce some vague concepts early on, but some of this, frankly, is very much not age-appropriate.
No, I agree. As a mother as well, I always taught my children from quite a young age the pants rule, and it's, you don't show anybody what's in your pants. That's private for you. Mum and dad can get you changed and see you in the shower. If anybody outside the house wants to see in your pants, that's wrong. And that's something that even my niece, she's 3 now, she's now starting to learn that at nursery. There's the Pantosaurus song. I think that's age appropriate, but I think going any further than that, it's not.
Well, exactly. Apparently they're talking not just about pupils. The Welsh Government says that the pupils need to be supported to recognise and value different types of relationships. Yes, some people might have 2 mums and 2 dads. Fair enough. They'll see that in their own classrooms. But as well as the diversity within different types of relationships, including LGBTQ plus diversity. Well, the fact you've got the Q plus is a bit of a giveaway. But teaching young children about trans. Now, again, I was always very open with my daughter. But, gay friends come to the house and is that his husband? How can he? Because 2 men can be around. Oh, okay. No big deal, no biggie, no issue. But teaching children about trans, teaching young children the concept that you could be born in the wrong body, this belief that you could be born in the wrong body, and that men and women can change sex. Again, you can change how you live as a different sex, but you don't change your actual sex. That is immutable. These are concepts no child needs to know about.
I don't think children need to know about trans. I personally, I don't think you can be born in the wrong body. It's physically impossible to change sex. Only women have got vaginas. Children don't need to know about this because in my eyes, if I start telling my 4-year-old or 5-year-old that you've got people that think that they can change sex and they're cutting body parts off, that's planting seeds in their head, and that's something you're going to want to explore. And I think that's wrong. We should not be introducing these ideas to such vulnerable, impressionable children.
I'm not very keen on them being introduced in secondary schools, but at least they can have some sort of debate back, and you as a parent might have a better idea of what your children are being taught. We're seeing this madness in American schools being brought over here, and there is a political agenda here, and it is affecting our children. This isn't an anti-trans. In no way is this transphobic. This is something that people need a lot of help with, and we need to provide the help for people. But telling young children, you could be born in the wrong body, I do not think, why don't we tell them about eating disorders as well and see how well that works out? I mean, that's the reality. Let's also talk about, health of women. We've seen so many times, you see a new poster, a new campaign, whenever it involves men, if it's about testicular cancer or prostate cancer or something like that, they always use the word men. It's used all the time. Men. Diseases affecting men. When it's about women, or it's about women's, whether it's HRT, menopause, whether it's about periods, it's always people who have periods, people who go through this, people who get cervical cancer, people who get womb cancer. The word they're looking for is women. or women and girls. But we are seeing our report proposing new NHS treatment guidelines in Scotland suggests a general move away from gendered healthcare and wants that trans people are put off attending services if they are targeted at a certain sex. So we're not going to have women's clinics because some men who choose to live as women, who are perfectly aware they were born a man, are still biologically a man, are going to be put off. That's going to cost women's lives.
What about the women that are put off? Like, I know a lot of women would certainly not want to go to a clinic. You've got victims of domestic abuse, rape, and, you know, just women who just don't want to be in a women's space with men. So they're then going to be put off. So we're pandering to a tiny, tiny minority because they might feel uncomfortable, but the actual majority of women, which is like 51% of the population, we're happy for them not to get medical care because we need to pander to this.
But also, there'll be a lot of people who, you know, whether either language issue or just they simply don't know. They won't know about the word cervix. They won't know that that's, you know, cervical smears and things like that. Those are women's services. Where they see the word, this is women's health. Oh, has that got something to do with me? You actually are going to see women who aren't going to get treatment they need. By definition, if you're living as a trans woman, you know you were born a man. You may or may not think that you're not a man, but you will know that you are actually not a biological woman on account of how you either still have your bits or you've had your bits cut off. Most people still have their bits. They will know what they are and what they aren't, and whether or not they need that treatment.
Absolutely. For me, you've got to be a man to be a trans woman. And if you're a trans woman, you know you've not got a cervix, you know you've got a prostate. But like you say, we've got people from other nationalities living in the United Kingdom, and they will see cervix havers and menstruators. They won't know what this means. So this language barrier could actually cost lives.
Absolutely. Lisa Keogh, always talking sense on this. Thank you so much for always speaking out. Again, I'm not a, you know, a sort of owner of a cervix or a vagina owner or a period haver. I mean, I am a woman. That is what I am. I really object to this. Benedict Spence joining me. I mean, when we talk about, have we got a Conservative government when we're going into a situation we're going to have basically a Labour autumn statement, but also on these issues, why is the government simply not saying this stuff stops, it stops today, end of?
Well, we had a potential leadership. Well, we had a leadership candidate, somebody who could have been leader, who at one point stood at the dispatch box and said trans women are women, and then tried to row back on that and didn't do a very good job.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, they care much more about not upsetting people, a tiny subset of the population, than actually talking about the truth. And this is what it is. It's not helpful to people. If they are confused or offended by different terminology, lying about it is not going to help them come to terms with what is reality.
Absolutely. Well, look, we've got a long day ahead. We've got the long